Sunday seriously went from bad to worse. Thankfully, ended up on a good rank personally, but the amount of carnage in that day. Started in the morning with Dylan Brown. Let's just obviously touch on that now. He's in my squad. Fantasy Supercoach, got him in all of them. And it's very frustrating news. One for the fantasy and Supercoach side, but just for someone that I thought, yeah, like obviously we don't know what's going on with the situation, but it's so hard to really separate yourself from it with oh, okay, he's innocent or whatever it is, because it just, why does it happen so often with footy players? Like, when do you see it come out? These type of things come out in the cricket world or AFL. Like, I know we're obviously, I'm not, let me know if I'm wrong. For guys that are actually in it in Melbourne, stuff like that, but the soccer guys, like whatever, like it just seems to just come out that it's footy players doing something wrong. It's just very disappointing, for someone that's obviously heavily in the community and just wants to see these guys do well. And Dillbags, he seemed like a good fella, and just a young guy trying to make his way in life. Obviously, play good footy, which he has been. For this to come out, we won't know until the end of the week, I suppose, what's going to be happening with it. But they're just my general thoughts. It's more just disappointing than anything else. On that note, and then we get to the last game, and obviously Jack DeBellin, he's out for a couple of weeks now. You may have too many fires in your team to decide what to trade him out, or what you're going to do with him. But Cleary, it sounds like he's gone for at least up to 6 weeks with that partial tear, which means grade 2. Never great news for Hammies. And will he be back at full strength when he comes back? Will he be coming straight back into Origin? We'll probably see him in a fantasy like round 20, I'd say, for Penrith. So not great there. He's definitely a sell, which is frustrating if you did captain him. Very, very tough news. Obviously, I was with Hines, but had Cleary captain him in Supercoach. If you want me to feel your pain as well as you did for the 46% or so that they captained him. And then the game following this, the Cowboys won. The Helam Lucas situation was just wild to me. Obviously, Nanai there, he's a Origin player. You got Lucio Lua, who I don't feel like made any impact in that game. Yes, they won by a long stretch. Great stuff. Well done, Cowboys. Storm were pretty, a bit off, and Cowboys are great. But for Lukey to be that dominant when he ran the footy in that first 25 minutes, to then get subbed all the way till basically when the game was done, when he came back on with 7 minutes to go, I thought it was a shocker, to be honest with you. And there was that many guys that got their second crack out there. I don't know why. Like, Lukey looked fit as. There's no reason why he should have been on that bench. So that was frustrating as well. It was just a very average day apart from Teddy, really. The other guys in this game, for myself, holding on to Joey Manu for the couple of weeks that he was out. That hurt with his 28, but most people own him. For those that don't, well done. For those that most people traded him back in, I think it was almost a couple of hundred in the top 1,000 that traded him back in, which wasn't ideal either. And picking Cook over Turpin as well, so that was the big one. But Teddy, 2 massive scores in a row. He really just helps out his price. But for those that did buy him, that week that we bought him, he has one low score. He has a 37, which is his second lowest score in that time. 50 odd, a 40 odd, a 19 or whatever he got that bunch of weeks ago, and then the 80 odd and the 70. So really justified in picking him up at a cheap price. He's averaging about 50 now in that time. So very, very good there. 2 tries last game, 2 tries this one with a try assist as well, and not one negative stat. So very, very good news for Ted. They have a tough one this week coming up against the Panthers, but no Cleary. So that definitely helps the Roosters, but I still think they will get beat in this one, considering they only just won this one. It was a bit of a okay game, to be fair. Like, Dogs just missing so many guys, aren't they? They're really missing Kickout. They're missing Luke Thompson. A lot, Max King's playing injured. TBJ was pretty good. I lost Reed in this game as well, so there's a lot going on. But Turpin, the big one here, 62 minutes, probably about what we expected. The tackling was immense, just in everything, and then made a good run with the tackle break there, almost scored, and then had a nice kick downfield as well, and a forced dropout. So he did everything, and they looked much better, I personally think, with him at hooker. He's obviously played that position for a long time. With the Broncos especially, and now he's given this opportunity. Tackle hard, good defensively, obviously, and then good service out of dummy half, and has a little kick to his game and stuff. So he was in everything, and well done if you picked him up instead of going for Cook. And there's still a decently high chance that I grab Turpin anyway, just for the point scoring and cash generation, because I think this was a pretty perfect game for him, to be honest. Apart from getting a try or an assist, I think he's going to be a 40 to 45 type of guy going forward. with about that same minutes, and that's still going to be enough to make him a lot of money. A couple 100K if he can get to a 43, 44 average, and that's at least a couple 100K from here. So that's Turpin. Preston, I was pretty annoyed with. He got 43 and then got an extra 10 after the game. He somehow ended up with a try saver, and I think they took away one of his negatives to go along with some extra runs and some extra tackles as well. So not ideal there for non-owners, that 10-point bump. But we'll talk about that as which was interesting in my head-to-head clash this week, which I'll get through in the round results video. Adokar was terrific. He's so fast down that sideline. Great work from him. Pango Jr., 51 minutes. I think he was very, very solid. Ran the footy great. 190 meters. Still the one offload to ground. One tackle break in that one. He did force one of those offloads, but he's definitely someone that if he wasn't looking at being in Origin again, which with a good chance that Cam Murray's out, there's another middle forward down. So I think Tavita likely holds his spot. And if unless he's just being completely dropped, but that's that with him. He could be an option for sure, but that 33k up hurts a little bit there after his big one in the previous game that he played. Matty Burton, the 44. So he had 2 try assists, 4 goals. Not too bad across the board in terms of negatives, but just no offloads and tackle breaks there to get him over the line with low kick meters at 272. What you'll see there as we get a little bit lower is that Oloapu actually split a fair few of those kick meters, which was good for all us Oloapu owners. Burton's an interesting one. Do you look to have him in your side? Round 16 is obviously a really important one now with likely Hines to be gone. Brown's likely to be gone as well for round 16. So there's a bunch of those guys down. Does Reynolds play Origin? Does Cody Walker go to Origin? Does Mitch Moses do it? There's a lot of different things. So does Burton play? That's the other question as well. So something we need to look at. Corey Waddell played a fair few middle minutes there at 54. So obviously decent free scoring, good PPM there, but not someone you want to look at. Jinder Balga there with 38. So he actually had a pretty solid game. He did lose the ball once before he went to play the ball when he got hit there. Wasn't ideal, but pretty good under the high ball. I was impressed with that. Good run meters, but with Daniel Tupou likely being back next week, I doubt that he's going to be of any interest. Swelli'i there, he had a 37, obviously got a line break try, moved to the wing, so Corey Allen played in the centres, but the big thing for Swelli'i there is he has ruled himself out for the next 3 games by pleading guilty to his charge, so he gets 3 weeks. Not good at all for Roosters and anyone who was looking at him as a cheap downgrade. Ockenbaugh, on the other hand, a 42k gain, which is good, 36 points, 80 minutes. If you're looking at it solely from the stats there, he didn't have a great game. 2 errors, he had 3 missed tackles and a penalty, so definitely could have been a lot better. He had no attacking stats. He had the one offload and the tackle break. He ran a good line, so there was definitely some positives to it, but there's a few negatives in there that just stopped him from going well in this one. I definitely think they should give him another crack on the edge there. Tupanua, interesting one there. 51 minutes through the middle, 35 points. Nothing special, to be honest with you, with Satili there. Again, not someone I'd be looking at this point until he shows that he can be like a 40-plus scorer pretty comfortably, considering they play all the way through till 19. They just have too many guys with Crichton, with Nat Butcher, with Egan there, and Nathan Brown's coming to the team now. There's a lot going on there, so I'd be avoiding Satili at this point. Harrison Edwards, a few people mentioned that they potentially look to sell him. I think that's a mistake. Given that mid is so tough heading into round 16, I think Harrison Edwards should be maintained. Should stay in everyone's squad. So that's that there. Surprisingly, Oloapu they took him off at the end of this game. I'm not sure what the reason was. With about 4 minutes to go, and then he went on for that last minute when he had to go into dummy half there. So a bit of a strange one as to why he went off. If anyone knows why, let me know. But that's that there. Curtis Moran got some price gains as well. Oloapu, just a solid game again. So got 207 kick meters. That was almost 7 points for him. Just 3 kick meters less than getting 7 points. Ran the ball a little bit. 20 tackles, 1 miss. Just doing it all again. And a nice rise to 24. Continues to make some decent cash there. Up 87 for the year now. And most of us probably picked him up about 50 or 60k ago, which has worked out all right. Joey Manu down 33 now. Down to 622k. Looks like he'll keep that spot in the 6th role for the foreseeable future until Sammy Walker comes back. But it's still not ideal. He didn't look amazing. Obviously, a few negatives in there, negative 10. 6 tackle breaks, no offloads, no line breaks, no attacking stats at all. Not good at all. But again, Roosters still aren't showing how good they can be. Billy Smith, all right. Shall we notch it down to a mistake? God, it's frustrating. He looked so good those first two games, and when it wasn't like, you can tell it, you can say complete trap when someone has scored a bunch of tries and you go, okay, I'm just chasing the points. But we were chasing points in a base stat way. He was by far their best player in those two games where he scored really well. He was doing it just running the footy, offloading, tackle breaking, doing his job there. But just the negatives weren't there. He had 2 penalties in this one, an error, a missed tackle. He wasn't doing that the first 2 games. He's trying very hard. He's running the ball with vigor. But they're not having those left side raids that they did in those first couple of weeks. So he really benefited from that. When they were chasing points, just not really happening here for Billy at the moment. And plus 5k, with a lower break even is helpful that he isn't losing money. And you probably now, with all the injuries and stuff, you'd likely hold him through the round 16 bye and then maybe 17 and do something from there. But not very exciting overall for Billy. Maxi King, the low minutes, so he loses some good cash, guys. Keep an eye on him if he's able to recover from the injury he had suffered and a bunch of weeks ago with the ribs there, then he could be a buy at some point. Averillo, a 6 in his 80 minutes, was not so good. Sanders Smith came on. Don't look at him as a buy, guys. He actually played okay. I thought he's there to cover for the great Jake Turpin and everyone who picked him up. It's going to be really hard to miss out on Terps with how many people brought him in. I think like 300 and something of the top 1,000 decided to pick him up in that one. So, yeah, full on. There, Blakey, Wilson, and Parham. Yeah, and then Reedy. Reedy's, it's a tough one. He'll be back for round 16, so if you do own him, it is tough. There's not many that still do. But for those that do, it's like, you got that try at the start and you're in for a good one and then happen to get injured there with the head knock, which is not good. Let's go to those last 2 games. So we spoke about the big news here with Lukey, but Cowboys played great. 45-20 in this one. So many points scored again for the middle forwards. The middles there, Robson, thankfully got some attacking stats. The 34 tackles, 2 misses in a game with 65 points is exactly what you'd expect. So good thing he got the turnover, which was a pretty easy one. Just a normal tackle. He just spilled his lollies. Offload the 5 tackle breaks there. 70 run meters, a forced dropout. Bit of everything, which was good for Robbo. Could have been a lot more. Same with Drinky. He was pretty close to 50 with about 15, 20 minutes left, and they just scored in other ways. Holmes obviously dominated there. So Robson, Drinky, the 2 guys there that we have in our, a lot of us have in our sides, and they had a good game. And Drinky up another 33k. Robbo finally making some cash again after losing plenty. So thankfully, the majority of us did hold Robson. I've spoken to a few people that did sell a couple of weeks ago after he was really bad, and he was never a sell just for the fact that he played. Obviously, in round 13, he played in 16 as well. Misses next week coming, but that's that with him. And Valame, that's the interesting one there. 3 tries, 3 line breaks, 6 tackle breaks, obviously decent run meters. Good chance that Kyle Feld comes back in this side at some point, but he's up to 372. Not really ideal, to be fair. That price point, like if it was 260, 270, you kind of lock him in as being able to make some good quick cash. But a buy this week, we obviously need to look at what happens. Maybe they'll given Felt the early rest, or they just weren't happy with his output. He's been scoring good tries, but defensively. But that side, him and Peter Hiku, I don't think it's the winger's fault each time. I'm very sure that it's Peter Hiku's fault defensively. Holmes is great. Anyone who held on to him, he's out of the 40s. A few people were saying he's fine. Good to see him finally out of the 40s there. And Mo Talangi, a couple of tries as well. Welchie, good score in the minutes provided, 43 for him. Surprisingly, he gets low minutes, doesn't he, for the most part? Peter got 3 tries, this obviously to Valame, but performed not great defensively when it mattered. So he made 16 tackles, but he missed 4, and they were all when it mattered. So, and a few times he just air swung or they went straight through him. Trent the Oro, so I own him in my side. The tackles are great, 40 every week, awesome. Did have a penalty, 3 missed tackles, wasn't great. 105 meters. Would love for him to get a try at some point, but down 5k for the first time. He's lost some cash, but started with him, 240k gained. Been amazing. I think now I just hold him at least through 16, probably 17, or can trade him in 17. There's too many other fires, and he's doing a job. Scoring in the mid-40s, definitely not falling behind. Owning Trent there. Meany, for anyone who brought him in, he did everything, and he only got 44, which is the worrisome sign. He had a try saver, a try, 4 goals, 2 try assists, and he gets 44. Now, that's pretty disgusting. That includes a get out of in goal, 3 kick defusals. So he had 70 run meters. He had 4 missed tackles and 2 errors. So there's neg 12 there. And then just, yeah, 3 tackle breaks. This wasn't huge across the board, but he did a lot. Really worked hard to get 44. So that's frustrating. But obviously you take that in a game where they got pumped, when he was just involved in everything. He either scored or assisted on all of them, basically. And then, Munster was low as well, so he loses 47k, someone to look at post-Origin. Him and Grant both didn't look amazing, both looked tired. 39 for Grant with 5 missed tackles, 45 made. Only ran for 35 and kicked, one set of dummy half. Not great. Eli Katoa is probably the big one there with 42. Thankfully for owners, he did go up a little bit. 3 tackle breaks, a line break, a turnover tackle there. But yeah, they're the types of games that he can have sometimes, especially when there's so much ball out of play with stoppages, and then they didn't win, so he wasn't able to get a try. But yeah, he's always around some type of attacking stat, isn't he? So that's that. Cotter with 39, he drops a little bit, which isn't ideal, but you expect somewhere around that 40 points, 50 minutes after Origin for sure. Then you've got Lukey the 39. As I said, super frustrating. Did have a forward pass of the offload. I was like complaining a bit about the minutes, and then someone said, bro, he passed it forward, and I was like, okay, fair enough. Like, get one with that try assist, which could have had him on maybe 22 or something, but instead he gets that sort of 16, 17 point play, and he might, even if he played an extra 15 minutes and that was a forward pass, and maybe he does get 39 anyway. So whatever, we'll cop it. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Do you look to trade him? Does Nanai get into Origin? There's so many things there. Either way, I think is fine. But obviously, when he does get good minutes, he's able to score great. He looks amazing, and I just felt it was silly to not have him play the big minutes there with Lucy playing 80 on the other side. Are they move him to the middle, Lucy, or just give him the 65? Even if it was 65 for Lucy, that means Heelan plays closer to 50. So Nanai plays 50 odd, Lucy plays 65, Lukey plays 50. Whatever. I think that works best for them. Because Lukey was playing more minutes when they had Lucy and when they had Tom Gilbert. So I don't understand it. Anyway, Husey 35. I saw 1 or 2 people brought him in, and just still continues to not perform really well. Leilua there had 2 errors and a missed tackle, made 20. He ran for 73 metres. There's not a lot going on at 80 minutes, but again, you can't really say too much because they did really well. Granville there with 24. So he back down to earth after his awesome score last week with the 50 odd. So how to get a PPM of 1 into a PPM of 0.5. Obviously a couple of penalties there. Wasn't ideal, but yeah, that's that with him. Warbrick was low. Dearden was low. Jordan McLean. Nelson, you lose 55k now. If we can get Nelson in the 400s and something's going on, and he gets back into some decent form, then he'll be definitely an option by that point. All right, let's go to the last game, guys. Thank you for sticking around so long. We have the Panthers and the Dragons. So everything changed when Cleary went down, obviously. Isaiah Yeo just continues to dominate, playing a full 80 again. He is such a fitness freak. Had the try assist there, terrific. Couple of offloads, 54 in base to go along with those attacking stats. He is a freak. He's so good. And he probably will be the most expensive mid, considering Payne Haas is going to go down. Ravalawa with another double and a good score. Speaking of good scores, Lomax and Hunt, 51 and 50 for Lomax there, plus 19k. Averaging 38.6 for the year, but better over the last bunch, that's for sure. A lower score last week in the 30-odd, but try assist. Just running the footy, almost up to 150 metres was good. A turnover tackle, so a fair bit going his way in that one. Obviously a good take. He's such a good man in the air. Jaden Stewart, 49. If you got him, you're happy with that. I'll see the Dragons guys are interesting with 2 buys coming up in the next 6 games. So 16 and 20, they have their buys. So that's something to note with these guys. Obviously get them to 16 and make any decisions from there. DeBellin's going to be an interesting one. So let's just talk about him now. He misses the next 2 games, but he is a keeper. So make that decision, depending on how many trades you got. I think if you've got under 10 trades, you can't trade DeBellin out because he's going to be so important for the rest of the year. Considering he had a pretty poor game and got 61 minutes there, but 39 in a very poor game for him. He was at 12 at halftime. So for him to pick up 27 points in 20 minutes, mainly in base and just the 1 offload, was massive. So we know that he's been, if he played that full 80, he was getting over 50, and he's a guy that's that type of scorer. He's only down 15k this week after a lower break even. He'll come back in round 17 and be ready to go. Thankfully he was stretched it off, but he was laughing with his mates and having a good time after, and really enjoying the loss, right, on the sideline. Anyway, that's that. Molo was a big one. Sully 44 as well. 2 tries for 43. Taruva 43 as well. Good backup from Brian, but again, he's not that superstar scorer that we'd want. Billy Burns is in out of the team, and you can't really pick him, and how good he's going to go on a weekly basis. Jacob Little there, 42 in his 50 minutes there. So tackled well, 40 tackles in 50 minutes was great. Only got to run the ball a little bit. It's obviously against the Panthers, it's a little bit hard defensively to catch them out at marker or do great things. But Little was did enough. He did enough good work, I think, to warrant the trade in if he did a 36k gain. And he comes up against easier sides each and every week following this, especially defensively, because Panthers are the best. And that was my only real qualm in picking him up. If people were, it was just that it was against Penrith this week. But you got the 42, you got out of it. You probably wanted more minutes too, 55 to 60 at least. But yeah, that's that. I think he ended up coming on a bit early because Mbai had a head injury assessment, if I'm correct. He actually came back, when Mbai had the assessment for the last 6-7 minutes. So he might have even played the 50 if that didn't happen. Anyone that grabbed Sorensen, 42. This is about where he was at in his 65, 67 minute games. But no real attacking stats here. 68 run meters, not enough. You still got an offload and a tackle break in that time, but not enough overall. Mitch Kenny, 49 tackles, 7 misses, 2 turnover tackles, and a penalty. Fun game. Didn't run the ball once. There you go. He was playing 9, obviously, with no Sonny Luke. There's a lot of guys out. Hey, Sonny Luke as well, if anyone needed him. DeBell on the 39, as we said, just worked hard in the second half. Fisher Harris, there was one there just at the end. I'm sure a lot of people saw it. He, especially owners, would have seen it. He bumped off Little. So I was like, a lot of people brought Fisher Harris in, a lot of people brought Little in. It's just an even play for me, like as an on-watcher. But he literally bumped him off. He went back like 2 or 3 meters and didn't get a tackle break for it. Little didn't get a missed tackle for it. They just completely missed it or left it or thought that was fine. When a guy can literally tap you on the arm and that's a tackle break, and keep running, tap you on the arm, you don't even attempt to tackle them. They're just hanging there like that, and they did like that to you. That's a tackle break. But then that one where he bumps you 2-3 meters back isn't. I don't know. It just seemed very clear to me. But enough of the complaining. It wasn't any of my players, and it wouldn't have mattered either way. But 38 for him. It's not what you want, really. You're looking for Fisher Harris to play 55, 60 minutes and get you a mid-40s to 50. Get your 55 sometimes, and obviously his last 2 scores have been bad. Another 37k down with his higher break even, and you have a higher break even again. You could even wait another week if you want, and still pick him up closer to 500. He's obviously just carrying that injury a little bit. For him to have no tackle breaks, no offloads, missing 3, you're running 123 meters. It's pretty low in this type of low scoring game. You want more from Fisher Harris, but they're obviously getting a decent amount of work from a lot of other guys. Their back 5 is so important to them in getting those big run meters. You see Edwards just under 200. There's plenty of things going on around him for him to not have massive meters. When you look at Leota, 92, you look at Liam Martin at 88. We haven't even got down to Hosking, and these guys are 66. We saw Sorensen with low meters as well. So there's a bit of stop-start game, and they weren't able to get into the groove of things. So really, Fisher Harris had the highest run meters apart from, I think, did he even beat Isaiah Yeo? Yeah, he pretty much tied with Isaiah Yeo. And that was just really the back 5 that were doing their work. So that's that there. Sloan, a better score. Edwards was the big one here at 35. So you end up with a try saver as well, but 196 run meters, 4 tackle breaks, 6 tackles, and a few negatives there, -7 with a get out of in goal. So Edwards, nothing special at all. This would be one of his lower games. I do think it hurts his chances a little bit to score really well with Cleary being out. Obviously, that happened in this game, but there are games where if Cleary's out, he'll come out and dominate, especially against some of the lesser sides. But that's when they've been able to prepare to not have Cleary. Whereas this game they had their game plan and then had to change on the run. So we'll see what happens with Edwards. He's obviously a clear hold, but not ideal where he was at there. Cogger's an interesting one as well, guys. So 375k. It sounds like you're going to get Cogger as a player, as a starter in this side for round 15, 16, 17, 18. So it's only 4 games. Is that enough for him to score really well and make money? I'm not sure. Being someone who has 10 trades personally, it's low-ish. It's not crazy. Obviously saved a few last week, only making 1. Wish I did Turpin instead of Cook, but still a decent score, and I can't complain. Cogger there, an extra 16 minutes. He probably scores 40 plus pretty regularly. That's a 1 try assist there. He has an offload to ground, and he has no tackle breaks. 12 tackles. He probably get up to 15 plus. Big kick meters there, which he's going to do regularly anyway. So I don't think as a 4-week play, you should be able to make yourself, you should be able to get him up to over a 500k and be a scorer for around 16 to 17. Is that enough for you? I'm not sure. You make that decision. We will speak about him during the week. Zach Hosking, 31. The negatives came in this one. 2 errors, 2 missed tackles. He wasn't bad by any stretch. It was a pass that, right at his feet, which didn't work great. But yeah, low run meters, 1 offload, low tackles in this one. It was just, as I said, a very stop-start game for most of these guys to not score super well. There really weren't that many that were able to go crackingly well. Hosking there, 31. Crichton, 21. And then we finished things off with Spencer Leniu, who I'd say he's probably a chance to make Origin. There's talk there that he was going to be the guy to play, and then TPJ, he was injured. TPJ came in instead. So that's that. The cash man, Murdoch Masilla, still makes 15k. He's up to 99k, and that might be the end of his price rises, I think. I doubt that he has to get a starting spot, but played a fair bit through the middle and still only ran for 30 meters, gave away 3 penalties and 2 missed tackles. Just not great overall. And then he got Cleary there with 17. So he kicked a goal. He got a lovely try assist. He did have a tackle break, unless they just gave him the offload. Okay, that wasn't a tackle break, just an offload. But yeah, 21 meters and the 1 big long kick, 58 meters with a penalty in there as well. So 17 and 16 minutes, he was going to be on fire, I think, for a 70, 80 plus. Wasn't to be. Frustrating. He's a sell now, guys. Remove him from your squads. There's a lot of options. I think there's going to be a lot of cash in the bank for a lot of people. Even if you go him to Moses, that frees up plenty to do any other move you want. So very exciting times. I wish you all the best of luck, and see you later.